Hello and welcome to the New Jersey Morning Show. I'm Dina DeLisa Gonzer in for Cara DeFalco.
And I'm Mike Favetta. Thanks for joining us. Dina, great to see you on this beautiful morning. Feels like fall again here
I
across New
know.
Jersey.
We've been having a good run. I'm very happy with this sunshine weather we've been having.
Yeah, and with that chill in the air, Election Day is around the corner. It's just a week and a half away, and early voting in New Jersey is starting this weekend. New Jersey Politics host Laura Jones is here with all the information you need to know. Laura, welcome to the show.
Good to see you both.
Well, good morning. So this year, the presidential race is upon us, and I'm wondering, how do you think this will impact voter turnout in New Jersey this year, especially with competitive races like the U.S. Senate race and the congressional seats that are on the ballot?
Yeah, well, presidential elections always drive higher voter turnout. This year is no exception. New Jersey voters tend to show up in greater numbers when the top of the ticket is drawing that national attention. Next year is going to be a gubernatorial election, so that will draw a lot of attention as well. We have some years where it's the state legislature where it's the top of the ticket and you have lower voter turnout. So this one will be a very large turnout. But what is interesting is how the turnout can have a ripple effect down the ballot, right? So we've got the Senate seat up for grabs and we've got all of our congressional seats. Some are looking more competitive than usual. So we might see more voters getting engaged beyond just the presidential race. Local candidates, they're very aware of this dynamic and they strategize accordingly. So especially with the early voting and the mail-in ballots, they play a key role, and they certainly will in this cycle as well.
Now, Laura, you mentioned the U.S. Senate race as it's heating up. What do you think voters are paying closest attention to when it comes to picking their next senator?
Yeah, well, voters are weighing in both on local and national concerns. With the Senate in such a tight balance, New Jerseyans know that vote is really going to influence which party controls the chamber. But at the same time, you've got local issues like affordability, infrastructure, even some ethics concerns. That resonates more than ever. So people are asking, who is advocating for New Jersey's interest? And the candidates are trying to walk that fine line between aligning with national party agendas and also showing that they understand the day-to-day issues facing New Jersey voters, those who live in New Jersey. And we saw that in a lot of the debates that we were hosting, trying to, align with, like the U.S. Senate candidates aligning with their national parties and trying to be in tune with what the New Jersey people really want, what they need, what affects their day-to-day life.
Now, Laura, you started to clue us in a little bit on some of those issues in those races that are not the big ticket item, the presidential race. So beyond that, what are some local elections or ballot issues that people should keep an eye on?
Yeah, well, all politics is local, right? It's a saying, and it is very true. So some of the most impactful decisions that affect you on a day-to-day basis, they're happening at the local level. School board elections in particular. You have local county seats. In New Jersey, with so much focus on affordability, we're seeing candidates run on platforms that address property taxes, municipal spending. There are also several school board elections that really could affect how education policy plays out, especially when it comes to curriculum and funding, because all that school funding comes mainly from the local level. So they may not get as much media attention because, we're wedged in between and the presidential race tends to get all of the headlines, but they directly shape the communities that we live in. So for voters staying informed about these local races, it is just as critical as casting a vote for the top of the ticket.
So now, Laura, I have to ask you about early voting because even on the national stage, early voting is becoming very popular and it starts this weekend here in New Jersey. So what can voters expect and what do they need to know now before they go to vote?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked this question. I have been on the phone this morning with my county clerk and have a wealth of information. First of all, most people, you should have received your sample ballot by now, right? So this came in the mail, and your sample ballot has so much information on it. I have a first-time voter, my son, who is 18 years old. This will be his first time voting, and he's like, "Mom, what do I do?" First and foremost, open up this sample ballot, right? It's going to tell you what you are looking at, right? So and mine is specific to Hunterdon County, that you have the president, you have the United States Senate, you have the House of Representatives, and in Hunterdon, we have voting for county commissioner and township committee, as well as a school board. There's no statewide question on the ballot. Some municipalities might have a question. Okay, so when it comes to voting, this sample ballot has all the information that you need. But if you're not looking through that, I got you covered. 3 ways to vote in New Jersey. You can vote by mail, you can do early voting, or in-person voting on election day. So if you're planning to vote by mail, the deadline to request a mail-in ballot is coming up on Tuesday. So you've got to act fast. That is October 29th. You can request one by going to your county clerk's office. You can go visit them in person or check their website for instructions. There's a phone number you can also call, 1-877-NJ-VOTER. So much information. So once you have your ballot, if you're doing a mail-in, you can return it a few different ways. You can return it by mail, put in that stamp on, make sure it is postmarked by election day. You can go in person to your county clerk's office or at your polling place on election day. Once you request a mail-in ballot, you cannot go to the screen at your polling place and cast a vote that way. Once you request that, this is a sample ballot. Once you request that mail-in ballot, you have to. However, you can return it to your polling place, or you can return it to one of the secured drop boxes located across your county. I believe it is a minimum of 10 drop boxes that are manned 24/7. In Hunterdon County, I know that there are 12 different drop boxes where you can go, and on this sample ballot, it will tell you exactly where you can go. So, early voting. That's another great option if you want to avoid the rush. Okay, early voting, you will go and you get the same experience as you do on election day with your touch screen, with however your particular polling place polls, whether it's paper ballot. I think most have gone to the touch screen. That starts on October 28th and runs through November 5th. And of course, there is the traditional in-person voting on election day. Polls open at 6 a.m. and they close at 8 p.m. So New Jersey, you've got some options. No matter how busy your schedule is, there's a way to get your vote in. So that is kind of it in a nutshell. Again, call your county clerk. They have a wealth of information. You can go 1-877-NJ-VOTER. You can go to votenj.gov. So much information. You can even on the website. You can even track once you cast your ballot. If you vote by mail, you can track it. There's a voter tracker, which is a pretty cool feature.
Oh, wow.
So if you're so inclined, go on the website, check it out. There's a lot of great information and great options.
Laura, that's a great point because I switched to vote by mail back during the pandemic, and the tracking feature is better than some of the national couriers. Like, it really shows you exactly when and where your ballot is and when it was scanned in.
It does. And that's, I'm glad you brought that up too. You can see if it was accepted, rejected, what have you. Another thing, if you didn't vote, if you haven't registered to vote, that deadline has passed. However, you can always request a provisional ballot, whether or not that's going to be accepted. You might have to go in front of a judge, but you can still request a provisional ballot if you have not registered to vote, because those deadlines have passed. I have more deadlines again. If you go online to NJ.gov, vote 29th is the deadline to apply for the mail-in ballots. November 1st, application to receive general election ballots by electronics means, and November 4th deadline for in-person mail-in ballots, and November 5th, that is election day.
Wow. Laura Jones, thank you so much for being with us today and giving us more than just all of the information, but it feels like every piece of information relating to this race and voting. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
I did not know that you could track your mail-in ballot. That's amazing.
It's impressive. It's something that a lot of times in New Jersey we complain about things. We like to complain. We're New Jerseyans after all, but that's one thing they did right. They did it right, and they did a great job with it to see, how step by step every hand that ballot touches is tracked, and you can follow it online.
Good to know. Well, coming up, a brand new ballet is coming to Atlantic City.